I'm craving band candy. Like and subscribe. And drop us a line, because it's very rude to keep your family waiting. Last time we explored the forgotten shadows of the slasher genre, the killers who came and went, leaving only blood and memory behind. But some nightmares don't rest. They wait. In the woods, behind the curtain, in roadside motels, and empty carnivals. These are the slashers that never became franchises because they didn't need to. They were all one-kill wonders, meaner, stranger, and more disturbing than the icons that followed. So grab yourself a flashlight, step back into the darkness, because tonight we're going just before dawn. These are the greatest non-franchise slashers, Part 2, Halloween Edition, Craven's Revenge. At number 1, Just Before Dawn, 1981. A group of hikers venture deep into the Oregon wilderness and stumble into the territory of inbred killers who guard their mountain with savage precision. Just Before Dawn is haunting and poetic, using nature's silence and sunlight to create a primal sense of dread that builds to one of the most chilling finales in early 80s horror. At number 2, Fade to Black, 1980. Dennis Christopher stars as a lonely cinephile who retreats into fantasy and begins reenacting scenes from his favorite movies, with deadly consequences, of course. Fade to Black is part psychological breakdown, part Hollywood satire, a slasher that uses obsession and pop culture as its murder weapon. At number 3, Motel Hell, 1980. Farmer Vincent and his sister run a quiet roadside motel, but their secret recipe for smoked meat involves a crop of planted human victims buried up to their necks. Equal parts horror, equal parts black comedy. Motel Hell is grotesque, satirical, and downright unforgettable. It takes all American hospitality and turns it inside out. At number 4, Maniac, 1980. In the grimy streets of New York, a deeply disturbed man prowls the night, scalping mannequins and women alike, while fighting the ghost of his abusive past. Joe Spinell's performance is raw and heartbreaking, turning Maniac into a sleazy, yet strangely tragic portrait of urban decay and loneliness. At number 5, The Prowler, 1981. Decades after a soldier's romantic betrayal ends in murder, a small town's prom night is resurrected in blood. The mysterious Prowler strikes again, wearing combat gear and a bayonet, with some of Tom Savini's most realistic and shocking effects. This one delivers pure, old-school brutality. At number 6, Curtains, 1983. 6 actresses gather at a remote mansion to audition for a role, only to realize the director has locked them into a nightmare of ambition and paranoia. Stalked by a killer wearing a grotesque hag mask, Curtains drips with icy atmosphere and surreal imagery, transforming artistic competition into murder. At number 7, April Fool's Day, 1986. A group of wealthy friends gather on a private island for a weekend party of pranks and games. That is, until the jokes start turning deadly. Balancing slasher tension with clever self-awareness, April Fool's Day deconstructs the genre, just as it was reaching saturation, delivering one of the smartest twists of the decade. At number 8, Bay of Blood, 1971. Mario Bava's Italian masterpiece follows a web of greed and betrayal as multiple killers fight over a cursed piece of property. Every death is staged like a painter's composition, Stylish, vicious, and influential. Without Bay of Blood, the modern body count formula may never have existed. At number 9, The New York Ripper, 1982. Lucio Fulci's most controversial film pushes sleaze to its limits, depicting a duck voice killer. Yes, you heard that right. A duck voice killer, stalking women across a decaying Manhattan. This one's equal parts giallo and exploitation. It's grim, it's shocking, and drenched in neon filth. A disturbing snapshot of early 80s urban rot. At number 10, The Tourist Trap, 1979. A group of travelers break down near a strange roadside museum and meet a man whose lifelike mannequins seem to move on their own. Tourist Trap blends supernatural terror and psychological horror into a dreamlike nightmare, turning plastic faces and hollow eyes into instruments of pure fear. At number 11, The Funhouse, 1981. 4 teens sneak into a carnival attraction after hours, only to find themselves locked inside with a killer hiding behind a freak show mask. Texas Chainsaw Massacre's very own Tobe Hooper directed this one. The Funhouse oozes atmosphere, a macabre maze of flickering lights, warped mirrors, and mechanical screams where the monsters aren't just part of the act. When the credits roll and the last scream fades, these films stay with you, not because they built franchises, but because they ended where most stories should, in silence, in shadow, and blood. Each of these slashers was lightning in a bottle, raw, strange, and utterly final. No sequels, no mythology, just one perfect night of terror. They remind us that horror doesn't always need a legacy. Sometimes it's enough to be remembered once in the dark. So, for wherever you may be, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good riddance.